In line and here, we're going to make our presentations right now, and then we'll continue to review the autographs. So with that, I will turn it over to our very own Jeff Koterba.
Well, as many of you know, I've first got to meet Clay over email roughly 3 years ago or so when Clay had first gone into space and was aboard the International Space Station, and I had drawn a cartoon about Clay that my friend Liz Rusko, wherever Liz is, and she had gotten a cartoon to Jeff Rakes, who at the time was he still at Microsoft at that time? Who then, unbeknownst to me, had emailed the cartoon to Clay. All this is going on without my knowledge. One day I get an email in the inbox, and it says, "Greetings, Earthling." I thought it was spam. I almost deleted it.
It was spam. It's from the government.
But I thought, this is too strange and interesting, so I will open it up, and lo and behold, it was from Astronaut Clayton Anderson, thanking me for the cartoon and telling me how much he enjoyed it. And so we stayed in contact for during that time, and then about, last year, he reached out to me and invited me and my family to his then upcoming launch, and then asked me, he said, "But there's just one thing I need you to do. Can you do a favor for me?" I said, "Yeah, I'll do anything. I'll clean your shoes. I'll whatever." Yeah, okay. So, would you be interested in drawing a couple of cartoons? One that you can give to the paper, one you can draw for yourself. I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So, the first cartoon came pretty easily, and it's the one that's represented on these sheets. And then the second one for myself, I wasn't sure what to draw, so I was a little hesitant. I felt self-indulgent to draw something for myself, and then I remembered that I had this cartoon character as a kid, Doggy the doggy. When I was a kid, I was copying Snoopy from the funny pages, and my mom and dad are here. Right here's my mom. I don't know where my dad's sitting down, and they were always very encouraging and inspiring me to push the limits and be original, not to copy. And so I came up with my own dog character, Doggy, and Doggy went to the moon, except that I discovered that Snoopy had already gone to the moon. So I put Doggy away and I forgot about it. And so when this opportunity came up, I remembered Doggy and I thought, okay, this is Doggy's chance to finally make it into space. And so this past April, they went up on the shuttle, and here we are.
Oh.
You're expecting a big finish.
From you or from me?
Of course, you're just starting now, so.
I am honored to be here at the World-Herald. I was telling the National Newspaper Association this morning that I come from a newspaper family. Every day, my dad worked the jumble. Every day, my mother worked the crossword puzzle, and when I was a kid, I threw papers for the Omaha World-Herald in Ashland, Nebraska. And I used to, on my route, I had the same route every day. I got up really early. I had the 2 baskets on the back, and I rode to the same place on my route every day so that I could sit down on the little wall that was there. I'd throw 3 papers down the street, and then I'd sit down for a while. I'd take out an Omaha World-Herald, and I'd read the sports page. And I caught up on the Baltimore Orioles, the Huskers, anything that was in the sports page. Then I neatly folded the Omaha World-Herald back and gave it to the next customer. I probably should have told you that, but it's too late now. Just try to prove it, okay? So I am from a newspaper family, and it's great to be here. I'm so honored to be a friend with Jeff, and it's the same thing for me. Being in Houston for all these years, I hadn't really followed or even knew of Jeff's work. But when I got this cartoon up in space, and it was about Ashland, Nebraska, which was really cool, and it kind of was about my uncle, because you may not know this, but my Uncle Jim was one of the guys that was trying to get this junkyard cleaned up in Ashland as you come into town. And Jeff's cartoon was about 2 guys in a little diner yakking about this junkyard that Ashland's trying to clean up, and Clayton Anderson probably clean it up for free. So that synergism is really nice to me. And then what was even more special to me was later on in the increment when Peggy Whitson came up to be my commander for 3 weeks on the station. She's from Iowa, a small town in Iowa. And Jeff drew another cartoon that was very special to me. And he took the space station, and he put the big red N on it, and he put the I Heart Iowa. And then on the International Space Station, he crossed out internationally, put Midwest Space Station, or at least for a few days anyway. And so those are very special. It's been fun to follow what he's doing. And, oh, let me give something to the World-Herald that I have. I'd like to present this box to you. You know, when you're an astronaut, you have to carry all this junk around all the time. So let's have that for a sec. Talk about that in a minute. We have some stuff here. Okay, so you might have been missing this. This is the cartoon. It's in reasonably good shape. When I told Jeff that I wanted to do this, we put it on kind of thicker paper. That's a good thing. And you'll notice on the back for the Omaha World-Herald, it was item number 88. So every crew member gets to select 10 items for what we call the official flight kit, the OFK. And so for my 10, one of my 10 was this picture for the Omaha World-Herald. But I can't just give the picture back. I have to give a little more. This is the documentation that accompanies the picture. And on this, it's very special to me because it says, presented to the Omaha World-Herald from NASA and the crew of Discovery, STS-131. It's signed by me, and it will document that this picture for the World-Herald traveled some 6.2 million miles in 238 orbits around the Earth. Now, the other cool thing is you have a picture of launch and a picture of landing. We have a state flag from Nebraska that actually flew with us on Discovery, and the picture of the crew, and then the picture of the spacewalking guy, and the spacewalking guy just happens to be me. So, take it one step further. One thing about the Omaha World-Herald it is Omaha, and Omaha is in Nebraska, and I'm very proud to be the only current astronaut and the first astronaut to be selected to fly in space from Nebraska. So I have one other picture, and it does a little documentation of some things I took into space. Now, as you look at this picture, I'm floating in the cupola module of the International Space Station, and what I have on is a Nebraska hat. I also have a set of gloves from Kurt Tomasevich, who I'm sure the Omaha World-Herald folks know is the bobsled gold medal winner from Nebraska for the Winter Olympics. There is a baseball right under my chin. That's the baseball that I brought back for the College World Series for the last one at Omaha's Rosenblatt Stadium that I presented to the NCAA. And then the shirt that I'm wearing may look familiar to some of you. From a guy that likes to say, "Get her done." So I have Larry the Cable Guy's shirt in outer space. So all things Nebraskan, and to the Omaha World-Herald, Nebraska soars. So I'd like to give that back to you as well. But wait, there's more.
Did Larry the Cable Guy actually wear that shirt before you?
Absolutely. I got it. Larry the Cable Guy was in Houston in January. He was doing a concert with Bill Engvall and Jeff Foxworthy. We found out he was coming in January, so my wife Susan and I asked NASA if we could offer a personal tour to Dan Whitney, Larry the Cable Guy, and his family of NASA. So Dan was really hot on the idea. He flew all the way to Florida to pick up his wife Kara. They flew to Houston. We gave him a tour, and then that night he invited us to go to his show. Well, at his show he wore that shirt, and when he was finished with that shirt, we met down with him in his little dressing room, and he gave it to me. I washed it 37 times to get the smell out. And then I actually gave it back to Dan yesterday when he was at the Madonna Rehabilitation Hospital. So everything comes full circle in Nebraska, which is what brings us to the next item here. Does that look familiar to you? Doogie. Dogie?
Dogie.
Let's get it right. I thought it was Dogie. So Dogie was in my personal flight kit. So on the back of there, Jeff, is number 11 and my name. So that kind of proves that it's authenticity. So I'll give that to you.
Awesome.
We also have documentation. It's a different certificate. I'll read that in a second. But I also wanted to give Jeff something else that most other people don't have. In this photo, I'm going to give to Jeff. It's yours truly, and it says, "Holy cow, I know Yogi's here somewhere."
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, that's awesome.
And in the back of the shuttle's payload bay, the picture was taken through. You can see the reflection of the windows where the picture was taken in my visor. And then for Jeff, his certificate of authenticity is this original Jeff Koterba watercolor cartoon was flown for Jeff Koterba aboard the United States Space Shuttle Discovery to the International Space Station. Discovery launched at 6:21 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on April the 5th, 2010 from pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida at 9:08 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on April 20th, 2010. Discovery landed at runway 33 at the Kennedy Space Center in their shuttle landing facility, having traveled 238 Earth orbits. Discovery reached an altitude of 221 miles and a speed of 17,500 miles per hour, 5 miles a second. The flight duration lasted 15 days, 2 hours, 47 minutes, and 10 seconds, covering a total distance of 6.232235 statute miles. That's 6.2 million miles if you're counting. So, Jeff?
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
Officially retired. But wait, there's more.
Boy, that was a long trip.
I was impressed that you were reading that upside down.
Oh, I have it memorized. No, so the other thing I did this last summer was I read a book. The book I read was written by Jeff Koterba, and it's called Inklings. Okay, and I really liked that book. And when I read that book, I took note of several parts of the book where he talks about when he was a little kid, and he got in trouble a lot, and he did lots of cool things, and he played in this field on the hill and he mowed grass. But the coolest thing that caught my attention was when his father and his family was excited about the Apollo moon landing. And it talked about how, as a family, they were ready. Boy, they had the TV primed up, and Dad was all over it, trying to make sure everybody was right there when they were going to walk on the moon. And as I read through that, and as I relived it, because it happened to me too, right? We were in front of the TV as well, and I had decided on Christmas Eve of 1968, when the Apollo 8 astronauts flew around behind the moon, that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be one of those guys. Well, poor Jeff. He kept talking about how he didn't have a rocket. He went down to the basement. He looked for a rocket, didn't he?
That's right.
He didn't find a rocket. Well, I brought you a rocket. So, we are hoping that NASA might be. There was good news from the Congress and the Senate yesterday. They have moved up, or they have proposed to move up the development of a heavy lift rocket that's going to take the place of the shuttle to carry heavy cargo into space. They say that they can have it operational by 2016, and I'm very hopeful that they will. And in addition to that, there are commercial companies that are going to help to build rockets to hopefully lift United States astronauts back into space to go to the International Space Station. So, Jeff, you finally have a rocket.
My mom told this. Not to be outdone.
Oh, no.
Not to be outdone. As Clay mentioned, I've done several cartoons on him. Upon his return from his recent mission in April, I drew another cartoon that appeared in the Omaha World-Herald, and I would like to present that original cartoon to Clay. I hope you remember it. He has his astronaut helmet here with the big red on the side, and I have NASA here, but I've squeezed in a few other letters so that NASA spells Nebraska. And I've titled it "Welcome Home, Huskernaut." But now we're not done. We're not done.
I don't look this bald, by the way. I'm going to take my Sharpie and color in some hair.
I also have a certificate of authenticity that Joel Long and our public relations department here put together.